Oh man, welcome to my studio. Come inside, I'll show you a little bit around everywhere. Yeah, let's maybe start out from the inside out. What I mean by that is kind of what software do I use, what kind of outboard stuff I use as I move on. But yeah, pretty much I use Studio One as my DAW. That's been a program that I've used for years now, and it's just super user-friendly and just made for a musician. So yeah, I basically exclusively use Studio One. And I run everything through my claret. It's a Focusrite product. It's got two mic pre's in there. Really great, really good for the price that you pay. But yeah, pretty much I track everything. I track all the tracks here inside the studio, from guitars to background vocals to the keys. I use a Novation Impulse 61 key. And it's a MIDI controller, like a MIDI keyboard. And pretty much when I do strings and when I do the keys and pads and everything like that, I play it all on there, which was pretty fun, just trying to figure out where I want to go and how I want to do it. Yeah, and then pretty much everything else was in the box, talking about, what plugins I use. I use a lot of Isotope plugins, which have been really great, like from EQ to all that kind of thing. And Omnisphere is such a great product. I use that for all my keys and my pads. Really, really cool stuff that you can use there. But yeah, when it comes to other stuff that I use, I've got my HS7 Yamaha monitors. I absolutely love these monitors, especially for my room size. You must just be careful, not get into too bigger, monitors for the size room, but really great, full frequency, everything like that. The headphones that I use are Sennheisers. They're the HD 280s. Pros. These guys are great as well, and just great for referencing and be able to know what you're doing when you track in.
What's going on in the wall?
Yeah, so around you see this is all acoustic treatments that I've put on. So you have some bass traps in the corners and down the sides of the room, and then you also have some foam padding above you. And the whole kind of point of that is just to try and isolate the room as much as you can, to try and get, as less bouncing sound around your room as possible, so you don't have these weird kind of frequencies that are, causing you to kind of not hear the music in the right way. So yeah, that's why the back wall is treated behind my guitars, in the corners where I could put them. And yeah, so that's kind of foam treatment. If you want to ever start out your own little studio, it's really important just to treat your room the right way. But yeah, like the microphone that I used specifically on the background vocals, because I did all background vocals inside my home studio. We also did the main vocals at Belleville Studios with Theo Kraus, and we did all the main vocals there just to kind of use some of his analog equipment, which you cannot beat, and some of his vintage microphones, his Neumann U87s, and the vintage is just a level that we can't compete with. So we had a really great opportunity to go there and record our main vocals there. But everything else has been done here with my pre-recording mix. But this microphone here, the Blueberry from the Blue Company, is what I use. And this is such a versatile microphone. I used it for all my vocals. I use it for my acoustic tracking. Anything that I want to track, I use with this, and it's got such a great frequency range, and the curve is got a very nice vintage curve to it. So it really, you don't have to do much equalizing after you've used it. So it's such a great microphone. And I've got some NT5s that I use, those little barrel microphones. They're not here at the moment, but I use that also to mic up my acoustic inside this room to do all my acoustic tracking, which was really cool. I use this shield as well for when I do my microphone takes. It's just a shield to stop any noise coming onto the microphone, especially when you live in a residential area and you have barking dogs and screaming children. This is super useful to have. So you can just isolate the vocal inside. It's a little, your own personal vocal booth. So I use that pretty much all the time. I don't use it when I do acoustic tracking, otherwise it kind of deadens the sound. You want to get a little bit of room in it. As you can see, I have a variety of guitars. I've been blessed with a variety of guitars. So throughout every song, I would pick up one guitar, see how it sounds to the track. If it's something that I enjoy, then I would track with it. And you'll notice that you get very different sounding guitars on every track, because one track I'm using my White Falcon, my Gretsch White Falcon, and then the next track I'm using my ES335. Some tracks have the Falcon, the 335, the Strat, and the Tele on it. So it just, it all comes down to how I was feeling on the day as I was tracking. And another really important piece of equipment that I use is my Line 6 Helix. And that's kind of exclusively what I've used for all my guitar track-ins, and it's been such a useful tool to use because I don't need big amps and all that kind of stuff, and it's a small space that I'm in. I have all that running for me, the impulse responses that are in there using AC30s and matchless amps and Dumble amps that you cannot get. And it's been very cool to use. And inside that are all your effects and everything else that you need, from Strymon, Big Sky, reverbs, and all these different things that you can use. So I've set up patches like that, which I could share with you guys at some point. But yeah, just using that for all my tracking, and did a preliminary mix here inside the studio, and then we moved over to Belleville Studios, where we tracked our lead vocals there, and then we took all the tracks that I recorded inside this studio, and then we mixed it through an analog desk, and with some analog kind of processes to that. So just kind of changing the feel a bit and kind of moving towards the professional sounding vibe for the tracks and for the album in total. So then from there, from Belleville Studios, we move in the entire album through to Los Angeles, and then we're going to Lerson's mastering house, and they are going to be doing all the mastering for us, and they have done the mastering for us. So we're really excited to just be able to use them, and all through contacts and stuff. So it's just been an absolute blessing. It's so cool to see what God has done through this project, and even though it's been difficult times and having to kind of make do with what we got, it's just cool to see what Jesus has done through it all.